Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. Welcome to 2021. This is our first screening back in the new year for the USC School of Cinematic Arts. This special presentation of Show Me What You Got is a collaboration between Outside the Box Office, the screening series at the USC School of Cinematic Arts, together with Level Forward and Laemmle Theaters. Be sure to support Laemmle online with their virtual screenings and tell people about its release. The film will be available for VOD on the Laemmle website. We're going to screen the entire film tonight through the webinar. It's about 95 minutes, and we'll go directly into a live Q&A with the director, DP, and co-writer Svetlana Cvetko, co-writer, producer, and editor David Scott Smith, and the very talented cast of the film, Cristina Rambaldi, Neyssan, Falahi, and Mattia, Minasi. So please stick around, and I hope that you enjoy the film. When we do get to the Q&A, at a certain point, we'll open it up for questions. And what we'd like to do is actually invite people who have asked questions to come and ask their questions live by joining us as panelists. You don't necessarily have to do that. If you'd like me to just read your question, just put that in the Q&A function. But if you're camera ready, we'd love to see your faces. So just know that there is that option when we open it up for the audience Q&A. And I hope that you'll ask some great questions. So thank you so much and enjoy the movie. Fantastic. So let's just, I guess, start with Svetlana. You know, you have such an illustrious career as a cinematographer and working mostly in documentary, and then to write such a beautiful poetic love story. It's sort of a departure from some of the subject matter that you've made your career with. Tell us a little bit about what inspired this change and where the spark came for the story.
Thank you. Just to say thank you everybody who's watching the movie. I was watching with you all with the lights out, and I was totally feeling the energy of the group, even though we are doing this over Zoom, and it was somehow really, really special to screen this film, even if it's in a virtual way. But thank you everybody for who is on the other side of the screen. Why did I make this film? I really wanted to utilize some of the skills, obviously, as a cinematographer who works on a lot of documentaries and, on real stories. And I really wanted to blend realism and fiction. And I love movies about relationship. And I wanted to tell a story that was about a very honest portrayal about relationship, about love, about sex. And with a very beautiful, strong young woman in the center of it, who is just willing and free to follow her heart and her desires. That was really kind of like, that is the kind of story I want to watch, and that is the kind of story I wanted to tell.
When you say you were blending in realism, was there a certain amount of work on set with the actors that went off the original script?
Yes, absolutely. Actors contributed in a really big way to their characters, and we workshopped. And I always say, for everything that independent films don't have, this, we lack so many times in budgets or like being able to have certain, gizmos and toys. What we did have was time and willingness to get together to work out, our characters. We always joke about it because we drank so many cappuccinos in our living room, and we would just talk about who these people are and what we personally were drawing from ourselves, and what we didn't, what we were just experiencing as people who live in this town. Cristina and Neyssan, Mattia and me, we are immigrants. And we also really wanted to tell a story about the immigrants who are living in LA and tell their story.
Well, for everyone in the cast, I'm curious to know how you prepare to have these sessions where you're working with each other to workshop who your characters are. What sorts of things do you do before you get there so that when you walk in, there's a lot to play with?
Go, Pete.
Who wants to go first?
It started all with Cristina.
Yeah.
I worked with Cristina on another film, and you know, I always knew it was a short film, and I always knew when I do a feature that I wanted to work with Cristina. So it all started with her.
Cristina, I don't know if your mic is
Oh.
working.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Working now?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah, okay. So I guess I'll answer the question first. For me, it was just a lot of journaling, a lot of work at home, preparing for those sessions. Just kind of like putting everything on paper, kind of like writing her own journal in a way, so that when I brought it, when I went in and we did have those sessions, I already had a very flexible idea of who she, solid but flexible idea of who she was, and that was very helpful for me, just working like that.
Yeah, I think for me, it was also like Svetlana and David from the beginning told us that they really wanted, you know, to work and use as much as our ideas, inspirations, and all that. So for me, I came in a very like welcoming and safe environment where I was like ready to bounce ideas and ready to bring as much of personal stuff that I had or desire that I had to explore in a character. And I think that was what was great about this project, is that you don't really get much opportunity, or not that often as an actor, to really bring a lot to the character. Usually it's like the character is already chosen by the director and you have to mold yourself. And so this time, right away from the beginning, Svetlana was clear that she wanted to use as much of whatever we're excited, whatever we wanted to bring. And I think she really did a great job of really making this whole, you know, recipe from our energies, from our little, you know, particularities and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I felt the same. It was a really free and you know, like it was a great environment to be in and explore. We of course had ideas. We had script. We were working on ideas in the beginning of the project, and we spent a lot of time together. Also, me, Cristina, and Neyssan. We spent a lot of time together, just the three of us, trying to. I don't want to say be in the situation of, you know, like, but trying to, you know, open our mind, our art towards each other and play with characters. I remember that in the beginning, my attitude could have been a little bit frustrating for the other two, because I was playing Marcelo for a long time, also in real life, and I was like, oh no, Marcelo will never say that, Marcelo will never do that. And I was, you know, like trying to find a balance between me and my real life and this character that has a lot of me in his personal journey, but is also really different from me. So yeah, we played with our energy and we put everything together and we try to just let the emotion flies.
I'm curious, just between us, did you have someone in mind as the real life counterpart for Marcello's father?
Not really, but like so the actor that plays Marcello's father is actually a really good person in television, in television in Italy. So it was you know, like I didn't know him personally, but I knew a little bit about his story because when I was younger, let's say, my grandmother was watching the soap opera I was in, you know, all this kind of stuff. So uh, when I when they told me that he would have been my father in the movie, I was like, oh wow, it's just perfect, and it's perfect also for me in the image I have in my mind of a successful TV actor. So it was just the perfect choice, and he's a great person. So like uh, I built the conflict between Marcello and the father with by myself, let's say, like in my mind, and then when I was uh, performing the scene together with him, it was just you know, like an easy interaction with another really good actor. So he all play well.
We actually shot Italy first. We didn't shoot in consecutive order. I mean, in you know, in order of the film. And in some way, as looking back to it right now, I feel like it was probably really great because we did build that whole family at the end, and then started in LA. And it was just a scheduling kind of thing that we needed to do Italy first, but now, as I see the film, I really love that we were able to fully develop that other side of, you know, especially for Marcello and his family and Europe part before we actually started shooting in LA.
Just as
If I
a
could just add something.
sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alex. I just was going to say, you know, one thing I wanted to make clear was that these three lovely people were with Svetlana and I from the very beginning. You know, when it was just a glint in Svetlana's eye, before we had even, well, before we had an investor, before they knew it was going to be real, they were already committed to being involved in it, and we are owe them a deep debt of gratitude.
So I'm curious a little bit about the open collaboration that went into this. I guess what were you initially working with when you brought the actors together? Had you put together a structure or was it a full screenplay? I mean, where were there openings for things to change versus things that you knew that you needed to get from scene A to scene B?
I know very specifically a number of pages, what I called a very strong outline, and it was about 23 pages because we were, you know, like we have to start, if we were gonna go to the investors at this stage and we don't have a full script yet, you know, what do we have? And I remember very specifically there were 23 pages with a very, very strong outline of what the story would be like. And then we were working on particular scenes and following the outline. And we always, you know, we talked so much about that. There were times we would have scenes written and we would do the whole morning, like we would follow the script and then we would just go, okay, let's throw it away. We know what the heart of the scene is about. So what if we don't have to follow, like what we just run with our emotions? And they can talk about that a little more. And sometimes it worked and sometimes we will go, okay, we just want to improvise this, and they will be like, where are those pages? You know, bring the pages back in. Every day was different, but they can probably speak more to that.
Who wants to jump in?
I think it was a lot more, we did a lot of work about the characters together, for sure. And I feel like a lot of like the story and what was happening to them and how they were getting together, and definitely like Svetlana and David had a clear idea and how they work that out with the script. I think what was great is that they were open to kind of make some changes here and there and improvise as well. But it was mostly, I would say, our collaboration for me felt like a lot about really kind of like going more together and you know, specifically and deeply about the characters, their story, and so helping them to shape those events, those scenes, who would speak what and all that, who would be the leader.
Well, there were scenes that came from the actors, you know, that was specific. I mean, obviously, the outline came after our working in our living room together for a long time. But then actually even on set, on location, we would discuss and Mattia and Neyssan, you know, for instance, contributed the idea of the scene on the rooftop where they have a private moment together, and it wasn't in our original, you know, outline, even what we worked on together. But on the day in that place, it felt like it was very necessary, and I can't imagine the film without it now, for sure.
And going on the rooftop, I was totally freaked out as they started walking. They just felt like it needed to be on the rooftop. I was thinking there was a ledger, and I was like, we can be on the ledger on top of the, you know, on the top area of the house. And they were like, no, we're going on the rooftop. And we gotta go give a shout out to our a woman sound mixer who climbed on that rooftop with them, Celeste.
Oh yeah, number one.
With such an unusual process, how did you find each other? I mean, was this a scenario where you were sort of aware of each other's work and you came together, or was there some sort of more formal audition process? How did you get started?
Well, David also, David, you want to speak about it, but I'll just say I met actually Cristina for the previous project through Neyssan. So I met Neyssan first, and I just thought he had such a unique qualities about himself, even as a person, and also his facial structure. I started as a still photographer, so when I see somebody with a very unique facial structure, I remember thinking just like, I just want to photograph him. Like, I just want to photograph that face. And when I was looking for an actress for this other project, which is called You Also Seen Lois Weber, it's actually a short documentary on American woman director in early 1920s, and I was doing recreations. I wanted to find a young woman who was timeless, who could have lived in early 1900s or now, and he suggested Cristina, and she walked in a room, and I was just like, she's perfect. And that's how I started. I wanted to do a story that was in cinema verite. I wanted to be rebellious with my camera. I wanted to be able to just say, these are my rules. My rules were there is never going to be a tripod on set, right? I'm just going to be carrying camera on my shoulder. We're going to be able to throw in the lines and improvise. We're going to be able to do the scene over and over again and do the jump cuts if that's what we want to. Or very early on, I always said I wanted to film all the dialogue, but then kind of play with which part of it you actually see on the screen and which one it feels more like they maybe think that conversation went like versus it actually went in that way. So those were all the early rules that I was thinking that I wanted to imply, and so that's how the actors came about. As all that was building up, meeting two of them, it wasn't quite there, and until we met Mattia. And meeting Mattia, we came home that night, we socially met Mattia, and David and I talked, and I just said, that's it. This is it. Like, that it. Like, we just have to invite them to the house, talk to them, and see if they're willing to make this film with us.
I wanted to ask a producing question, and I'm curious, David. You shot in Puglia, and then you shot in Los Angeles, and I'm curious which was more complicated.
Well, so my favorite was Puglia by far. Los Angeles, you have more support, but Los Angeles, I have always said, is a great place to make $100 million movie and a really bad place to make a $1 million movie. And I don't want to say people are greedy or whatever, but they're very used to the film industry. They're very used to getting paid for everything. And Italy, particularly Puglia, thanks to Cristina and her connections there, because she's from that region, and also Isabella Roberto, who is Cristina's friend and became our Italian co-producer. they helped us immensely, and through their connections, we're able to land amazing locations. For instance, we got a restaurant location because we bought lunch for the entire crew at the restaurant, you know, no location fee or anything like that. And that's the kind of attitude, you know, same with the beach. You know, it was very much like, hey, we know Cristina, we know Isabella, please come, you know, buy our food, you know, spend time with us, give us credit, it's all great. And that was a very refreshing attitude.
It was actually pretty incredible. The Italian community embraced us in such a big way, and it was truly magical. It was truly magical. And originally, we really were looking for a little more known town. Like, we did shoot in a town called Monopoly, and that's on the coast. But really, majority of the stuff we shot in a small town called Noci and Putignano, where Cristina's family comes from, and because we were staying there, it's about 40 minutes from the ocean. And again, one of the days we were saying, why do we drive on these locations every day when we are in this most incredible town that most people don't get to see? And it had such a charm. So we decided to film a lot of stuff there.
And a stone's throw from Alberobello, which, you know, if I think Puglia is like the most undiscovered, beautiful region of the world. And
Me too.
every town is so distinct and unique and beautiful. Let's talk a little bit about the aesthetics of the film. One thing that I love is the fluidity of different languages that play in it. And I love listening to the voiceover in French. Can you talk a little bit about how you wanted to incorporate that into the movie?
That was really from the beginning. The way we got actually movie funded to make this film is by us workshopping a couple of scenes, and, you know, again, having a skill as a cinematographer was very useful. And then David, you know, his editing skills. We went one day and we shot a couple of scenes and we cut it together, and we were able to show this to the investor and our incredible producer, Nick Sarkisov and Sergei Sarkisov. When I showed this couple of minutes clips, I said, this is what the film will be like. It's in black and white. It is cinema verite. It is with the French narration. It is in foreign languages. And these are the actors. And so, and, you know, these scenes can live in the movie, and actually two of them do. They stayed in the film. So that was always part of the vision. A little bit, it was a homage to French New Wave. When we met Nassim, and because of his background and his character that we were gonna build, he's not actually French, but he's Swiss. Was like, I always get this wrong, right? Neyssan.
I think that's one thing I want to say. The names are a bit confusing sometimes because they're quite close to us. And at first, the title of the movie was My Crazy Nature. Yeah. And My Crazy Nature was based on Mattia, M, Cristina, C, and Neyssan, N, right? It was MCN. And Svetlana loved that so much that we really worked to find like names that would fit those characters. And fit ourselves too, since we're like bringing our origins and our ethnicity in a way, not completely for myself, but kind of. So yeah, and then it ended up becoming really confusing between who's Nassim, Neyssan, Cristina, but yeah, anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Right, but you know, knowing that in terms of ending and stuff, where we wanted to see a continuation of life and hope, for the life that was lost. And as his mother was French, and his, you know, half of his father was Iranian, his mother was French in the movie, not in his life. I just want to say also the woman who plays his mother, Amber Shea, is incredible French actress who was in Cyrano de Bergerac and has 2 Césars. And she's a friend of mine, and I just so desperately wanted to have her in the movie. So I kind of always knew that the mother should be French. That was also very much from the beginning that the narration would be in French, and that we were going to adopt to that kind of a style of telling a story.
Would you say it serves a story point that the narration is in French and not Italian?
Yes, because on the end, when his life when after Neyssan.
Spoiler alert. Sorry, spoiler alert.
Oh,
spoiler alert.
Okay, no.
These people have seen it, but sorry.
So the French narration is there as a symbolism or continuation of life.
There is a story point. We'll say that.
I want to start letting some people from the audience ask some questions, and I like to invite people over to ask their questions live. So just give me a moment. I'll ask. There's a couple in here that asked for me to read it for them. So I'll just throw one out there, and then I'll start calling on people and welcoming them over. There's a few about the black and white. So let me try and kind of put 2 of them together. Tell us about the stylistic choice to make the film in black and white, and then combining it with another question, how does that affect your ability to sell the film?
So I'll answer the first part, and then we can answer the second part. Black and white choice was because it was really about wanting to make the film that felt timeless, but also as a memory. And just personally, to me, as a memory, when I think in terms of photographs or a memory in my head, it plays in black and white. I see things in black and white, and that represents some sort of memory to me. And in the same time, I find it timeless. So but sometimes in full color, I can really put a date on a period or a certain era, but in black and white, I find it timeless. And that was another very strong conscious choice from the beginning, that we will film in black and white and in a way that it could never be converted to color. We will monitor in black and white. It's very different. It's very different to film and monitor a film in black and white versus shoot in color and then convert it, because it's just a different way of thinking and how you deal with the ratios, with backgrounds, with patterns, with everything else. So yeah, that was the reason behind.
And so on the selling side of things, it has proven challenging. There are several artistic choices we've made that distributors are not in love with, like multiple languages, subtitled film, narration in a foreign language, and black and white. But my favorite story is always Steve Jobs went to 77 venture capitalists with his idea of Apple Computer, and it was only the 78th venture capitalist that said yes. And then we have Apple Computer. So you have to just find that one right distributor that really believes in the vision as much as we did and as much as our investors did, and are willing to put something behind it. And that's what, we're very excited about Level Forward, because they've taken that leap. And so we're looking forward to finally being able to get the film out to the world.
Excellent. Okay, I'm gonna bring you over, Kelly. Feel free to turn on your video. I'd love to see you. If not, just turn on your mic. And I'll queue up some other people to call on next so that they're ready. Hello. Hey.
Hi.
Just unmute yourself, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, you are muted.
Sorry, yeah. So my first question, I have to apologize for. It's hard. I used to be an immigration lawyer, and that's one of the things I did love about the film was, there was a lot about immigrants and the plight of immigrants in there. But the one question I had, I guess, would be for you, Svetlana. when Mattia's character was told he was illegal, I had never had a European client who was illegal. So I was just wondering, was it that he overstayed, or because that sort of left me wondering, oh, that's unusual. Normally people who are illegal have crossed the border. And so I don't know if that was like a significant plot point or anything. So that was just my first question for you, Svetlana, was how he became illegal.
Well, he wasn't technically illegal. He was on his tourist visa, but he couldn't work.
Okay.
So he was illegal to the employment.
Right.
You know, because he didn't have any of the paperwork that was required, and for employment, you know, they just basically he's illegal. And for somebody like a Marcello's character, who's just like life just kind of, you know, of course he should have thought of it, but you know, he didn't. He thought he could just go and get the job.
Sure. Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. It was like shorthand. Now for the three actors, for each of you, I was, because you really, you know, each of you really seem to inhabit your roles. And so I was just curious if each of you had, from your own lives, something about the character that drew you to them, that you felt, you know, was really like in sync with either your own life experience or your own personality, what that might be for each of the three of you. So whoever wants to start.
I can start.
Okay.
For me, it was definitely Christina's very, there's a lot of empathy to her. She cares. She is what drew me to her, and what I tried with Svetlana, what we tried to like pour into this character was a woman that was a strong female character. She knows exactly what she wants. She's comfortable in her body. She's comfortable with her sexuality, but at the same time, she is also very caring, which is a feminine trait that, you know, one doesn't need that strong masculine trait, doesn't necessarily need to oppose the other one. They come together in this character. And I think we wanted that for her. So yeah, that's my answer.
That's cool. Good answer.
For me, for Marcello, what happened is basically that Marcello has two different sides. One is really close to Mattia, and the other one is really far from him. For me, basically Marcello is like a Peter Pan that doesn't see any future, and is just experiencing every moment in the most free way you can think about, and is not thinking about the consequences too. So it's just there, and he wants to follow his own rules. He never had any problem in terms of money, in terms of having a job. He was just, you know, like a little bit spoiled, free soul. And the free part, the free soul, and the willing of experiencing a lot of things and trying to have strong emotions is what is really close to Mattia. But I am also a person that really take a lot of responsibility for what he does, and that was really far from Marcello, because Marcello he just wanted to make all the problem disappear and just enjoy his life.
Right. Cool. Good answer. And Neyssan. Oh, you're muted, Neyssan.
Oh, sorry. For me, I think one element that is really close to me is this desire to have a purpose, and I think that's also probably because of my background, being half Iranian, half Austrian, born in Switzerland. I definitely feel always like the way I was brought up with like making an impact on this planet, And so actually the activity with the refugees, I have done that in my life, not with refugees directly, but in jail here in New York and Los Angeles with the Stella Adler outreach program where we teach acting in jail. And so that was something that I really wanted to bring, that I thought would be really interesting. Obviously, I play an actor and a lost actor who wants to give up. So who hasn't thought about giving up, I would say, here in Los Angeles. And I practice martial arts. I'm a martial arts teacher as well. So there was definitely a lot of my personal life. Now, of course, there's a lot of things that are very different from me. I'm not going to bring any spoiler alerts, but there's, I haven't experienced that kind of relationship, like a marriage I try like this and all that. So no, there was definitely a lot of, like, I think I saw comments, somebody was bringing it, like how it's kind of this story is it's the moment of life of like 3 young people looking for some purpose, and they share just this beautiful moment that just will mark their lives. And so that was very special in working on this film.
That's so cool, because that scene where you were, I mean, it brought together 2 parts of my life, because I've worked with a lot of refugees, and that is something that they really desperately need. I've worked with them with the trauma issues and in order to give testimony for asylum cases. And so I think, I don't know if it's done, you might know this, Svetlana, but I think, because the other context that I immediately thought of, I don't know if any of you have seen 45 Seconds of Laughter, but just like Stella Adler, Tim Robbins and the Actors Gang have had a similar program in the prisons, in the jails, since like 2006. And it's
actually, David and I both work with Tim Robbins and contributed to some of the videos that they do. And that is part of our outreach. And that was something that I was thinking about, the character who cared about the world for Neyssan, when we talked about, and it turns out that he actually was doing very similar thing in the other side. So that just was a must have. But yes, they do incredible program, and both David and I worked on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So so I think that's something, because I do still work in immigration, and it's something that I'm going to try and see if they can do some more crossover things like that, similar to the projects that are done in prisons, because refugees need so much psychological support. I mean, I see my as a lawyer, it was more counselor than lawyer.
We really have a bunch of other I need to call on.
You bet.
Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you. Beautiful film. Love the writing and all the performances.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, I'm going to bring over Alex Gordon.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Really enjoyed the film. It was awesome. So I have 2 questions. I actually really recently watched Francois Truffaut's Jules and Jim, and that film really reminded me of this one. So I'm just, it was like a beautifully shot French New Wave film about a love triangle. So I'm wondering how much that played a role in inspiring this. And I guess they also had like the narrator in the background and everything. So I was wondering, how did you decide? Well, first of all, who played the narrator? Like, how did you decide on her tone? And how did you make decisions as to how much liberty you would give the audience in interpreting what was going on screen versus like having the narrator, I guess, explain it?
So as I said, I in terms of a style, I was saying from the get-go that I wanted to work in, what we call the new wave or French new wave, or just kind of a cinema verite style. And so definitely Jules and Jim was a huge inspiration. What I used to joke about, I said it every time I watched the movie, and I've seen it so many times. I was like, those two really loved each other, but back then we just didn't take it further. And I was wondering if that film was made today, would it be different? Would it be more like the film that we made? So there was definitely a huge influence. What I loved also about Jules and Jim, that they spent time, aside from the relationship, we kind of also knew what was going on in the world at the time. And there was actually a huge influence for me, and to see a little bit politically what is going on in the country. So the scenes about them going to protests, or seeing a little bit what's going on, was part of inspiration, because I loved seeing in Jules and Jim that time and what was happening in the world. And in terms of the narrator, I'm gonna have David talk about it.
Well, the voice of the narrator is a good friend of ours named Anne-Laure Jardry, and she is truly French, lives in Paris, and Svetlana and I were traveling actually, and we're staying with her, and this was when we were working on the trailer, conceiving the trailer, and we heard her voice. I started to listen to it very closely, and I just thought, that way of speaking, that cadence is perfect for our narrator. Even though I don't speak French, actually, I just could observe how
we
she's
called
speaking.
it a cinema voice. She has a cinema voice. By the way, the woman is born in Cannes and grew up in Cannes. And her family is still there. So she has a perfect cinema voice. But sorry, go ahead, David.
No, it's okay. And so she just got it right from the beginning. I mean, we actually, while we were with her, we had her record the script of the trailer on her phone, and used that right away in the trailer, and just knew she was that voice. And so we started being, very friendly with her, and was able to convince her to work on the full film. And so she actually has this funny connection to our actors. She only met them after watching them on screen for 2 years, and she felt so connected that tears were coming out of her eyes when she finally got to meet them. And she feels very, very, very a part of this film, and she is, obviously. She's been living and breathing it too for a while.
Yeah, she absolutely is. I feel like she's truly another character in the film. Her narration, when we were in Paris recording the voiceover, and then she did some pickups on her own, and we would do it via Zoom, and her understanding of every sentence and every line, and what this person that's narrating, that she built in her head, was what contributed to a very special narration. And of course, during the time as independent film, sometimes people tell you should be getting another actor, or actress, or maybe somebody with a name and stuff. And this was one of the things we also said: we could never change this voice. We just can't. It has been there from the beginning.
Okay, Alex, I'm going to move you back. And before I bring on Raj, because you mentioned the Women's March, there was a question that I was asked to read about how you incorporated that, and also the Church Street procession in Italy. I guess logistically, how did that work out?
Well, that's, I don't know, that's a fun story to me. We had arrived in Italy. We were there maybe for a day. I'm not even sure if it was a full day. And we're all kind of in our own little living apartments. And suddenly Svetlana and I hear this marching band music, and we don't know where it's coming from, and we don't know why it's there, but we know it's amazing. And so we go track it down. We realize what's happening, that it's this modest but wonderful marching band from the region, and it's a celebration of the Virgin Mary, and we get the actors together and we just film, and you know, it's the kind of thing of, you know, do it and ask permission or ask for forgiveness later. We just started filming away, and it wasn't exactly worked into the script as a story point at that moment, but we knew it was amazing. And so just started filming them being there and being present and interacting. And so literally the first scene we shot in Italy was this scene because we were in the middle of, we hadn't even started pre-pro yet.
All the
And
filmmakers
so
who think this is a great idea, just to tell you guys, we were so in love with that scene, and then trying to get the rights to that music, and we are thinking, of course, it's like from whatever century we can have the rights. Oh no, it doesn't work like that. And you know, then we can, and I can speak more about it, but to also our Italian co-producer, the levels that we had to go through to clear this music, to only find out later the Universal actually has the rights on, but we actually eventually did clear the music.
Yeah, that's an adventure in producing. Luckily, we had filmed the actual music that they were playing at that moment, and so we're able to track it down. And our Italian co-producer Isabella, she connected to the estate. We were hoping it was in the public domain, because if it was before 1923, that's public domain everything. But it wasn't. It was 1932 or something along those lines, and so we actually had to get all the rights, in addition to permission from the band members, of course. So that was challenging.
Right. So the improv too, like, brought a lot of work later on.
It just shows that you can really never take anything for granted when you're shooting in public. Yeah.
Oh no, it's true. It's one of those things. Isabella had to return to the town and track down band members, because we couldn't quite get everyone's signature at that moment, because we were doing it spontaneously. You know, so it was quite a thing. And no, as a producer, you really can't take anything for granted in public anywhere, not even in public. You really have to dot all your I's and cross all your T's.
Okay, I'm going to welcome over Raj.
Hello, congratulations, Svetlana and David and all three actors. Really enjoyed the film, and Svetlana, really you have an eye for picking the right characters who brought the life and telling the story in such a way that looks like coming from their own heart and pure, and it's without any disturbances and all, bringing the film very well. I, being an immigrant, and I have a question. You brought the immigrant in Italy, and where Nassim is kind of showing the acting and like that way. What was the purpose of bringing that one? And did it help by doing that to tell in the storyline this film?
I think I understand the question. What was important to me, and you know, to bring this kind of a scene to really show what Nassim is about and what he cares about. And Nassim can talk a little more about it.
Oh, you're muted, Nassim.
Neyssan, mic.
Sorry. To answer your question, I think this film is really about connection. And what this scene really brings up even more is that element of connection that we're all trying to be together and share together. And Svetlana and David, through the editing, brought that up in that scene with the refugees. And I think adding that to the film, like all these young characters kind of lost, looking for some purpose in their lives, and also adding refugees who are like much worse situations, stuck, very like hard future or whatever towards them, I think was very like powerful to bring even more that need for connection and how we're all seeking that and being part of something and connecting.
Yeah, your film definitely brings the whole character. Every one of them gives a full life of it. And also at the same time, the location is so great. that reminds me, while watching the film, our own Alex Ago, who is from Italy and hosted so many Italian films and all. And really, definitely next my vacation will be Italy.
To Puglia.
Julia, definitely. It's thank you, David and Cristina and Mattia. You are the same way too. So laughing, and Nasim the same way, the character. Really love the three bonding between, without showing that much sexuality, but at the same time showing the life, true life. I mean, they just acted so well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Thank you,
right.
Raja.
Thank you, Raj. Moving you over.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you, Ago.
Bye, have a good night.
Let's welcome over Kevin.
Oh my God, that's so scary. Hi guys.
Welcome to the
This was
panel.
amazing. This was a wonderful, wonderful film. Congratulations, but like thank you. It was really fantastic. Alex, I'm really sorry. I got 2 questions.
Okay.
I'm just gonna plug ahead. So the heavy improv elements going hand in hand with the script seems like such a fluid and realistic process. For David and Svetlana, how did you guys approach that in post in the editing process? And what challenges did that kind of produce? And my second question is for the actors. I'll say it again at the end, but you guys are clearly like had a very close experience with like the characters you played, and like having like coming off of that, how did that come together with the such like raw and close scenes of physical intimacy in the film? And I guess I just really love for you guys to talk about that too.
So the improv first and editing. Okay.
Either one.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and do the improv editing stuff as the editor. It was amazing, honestly, to have so much footage and so many options. It was, as a producer, it was incredibly difficult to plan for, and you know, the editing process took a long time. So if I was really, you know, watching myself, it would have been difficult to produce on this budget with that much footage. But as an editor, it was a dream. Svetlana had a technique and the actors of doing silent takes, you know, where they would occasionally say, let's just not speak this. We've done it so many times now, we can feel it. And there were so many emotional moments that came from those takes that I just haven't experienced before as an editor, and really learned so much from this process. And, you know, I was thrilled to throw away kind of traditional editing rules and go with a cinema verite cutting style and feel. It gave us a lot of options, which was sometimes challenging because we could shape the film in so many different directions. You know, we could use the scene with dialogue, we could use a scene without dialogue, we could use a scene with alternate dialogue, we could use a scene with the second alternate dialogue, or this take of this line, or, you know, or this line, or this line, or this line. So it's challenging. It's a lot to undertake, but it's an iterative process. You know, they say that about all art, but it really is an iterative process. You know, we edit, leave it alone, watch it, make notes, edit, leave it alone, watch it, make notes. You know, you have to do that over and over and over again. But so glad we had so many options, because the shape of the film really changed a lot and became very much stronger because we had all those options.
Remember, David, I think our first timeline when we put together assembly, I think it was 2 hours and 40 minutes because we have fallen in love with so many things. And then it was really hard to let go. But we're like, we cannot have a, you know, 2 hours and 40 minutes movie. So that was a good problem to have. But yeah, a lot of options, and sometimes that's almost, it could be also difficult, because you fall in love with a lot of things. They're beautiful scenes we shot in Italy. They're not in the movie that I still miss to this day. But we had to make the film a little shorter.
Thank you so much, guys.
Svetlana, you'll have to do the full version later on. Like in a couple of years, you'll bring the 2 hours and 40 minutes, The apocalypse now, whatever.
Yeah.
For me, in terms of the intimate scenes, I think a lot has to do with the preparation that we had before. I think because we're all like on this project full on, breathing it, sleeping with it, talking to each other, seeing each other 3-4 times a week, we definitely felt very close to each other and very comfortable and very trusting. But I would say when we were shooting, I think a lot has to do with Svetlana, her directions. She's just a very loving director. She just loves her actors, and it just makes you feel, it makes you feel special. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel you wanna perform, or not just perform, but just go. And yeah, it was a very small crew, so that helped as well. We were all very close also to the crew. One came to Los Angeles and worked with us, Gianluca, who is the focus camera assistant, and so yeah, no, it was definitely very very special. So that helped to do those scenes.
Yeah, not only the way Svetlana direct the set, but also how she operates the camera, and made a big difference. Difference, at least from my point of view, because she was almost, I don't want to say invisible. She always had this, like a camera on top of her for like 14 hours a day. I don't even know how she could manage to do it. But the thing is that she was in the same, this is gonna sound weird, but she was in bed with us. She was not, just operating the camera. She was like another character. She was the love that was bringing us together, and she was just there, going around us, going deep inside with details and stuff. But we were almost not feeling that the camera was there, at least from this is my experience, and that really helped.
I don't have anything to add. I think, after that, it's true. We felt there was a lot of trust between us, between all of us. We started this project being one entity, and that's how we shot it. It just felt we were allowed to be to bring our vulnerability, and it was a very safe space, and we all contributed to that. And I feel I didn't feel I never felt uncomfortable in any of that. Not even like there was any. It's weird because usually when you have these scenes, it's like, oh my God, like how is this gonna? But it was just not. Everything, because of what we had done before, just came so organically. That it was just a beautiful experience overall.
It really does seem like such a intimate production, and you can really see that on screen with like how vibrant and just textural all like the emotions are. And I want to thank you guys so much for like making this film. I'm actually going to fly over across the country and live with my girlfriend the weekend that this is releasing online. I haven't seen it in a while, and this is the first thing we're gonna watch. And I'm so excited for it, and I want to thank you guys so much for making this, because this was it was so special to me just watching it. I'm really excited to share it with her. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Those are beautiful words. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bringing over Quinn. Hang on a sec. Okay. All right, Quinn, you're on our side if you want to jump in.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Queen.
Hi.
Hi.
I really have to say, just from watching the film and the symbolism employed and force in a full circle of energy to even seeing us all discussing this today, the one thing that brings us together to even be here is we're alive, and life is force and love and loss and sex, and sexuality is also how we're all physically here today as well. But the symbolism and visual language that was employed was so forceful to me and inspiring. Gosh, sorry, I forgot. I'm an artist, that's why I get a little stage fright. Hang on. The way you used narrative and shape and form throughout the film and throughout the visual language and symbolism that you employed, I wanted to hear a little bit more about that. And switching between, the acting was so incredible that when you chose to have that scene where there was no language used, there was a life or death, and we knew that there was a loss, there was love, she was pregnant, he left. I mean, that really was so emotionally charged and circled back to the illusion of fear, which brought everyone together. That opening scene where everyone wrote down their fear in invisible ink, and the artist showed that everyone has them. Maybe it's an illusion, and we're all just here to live. I mean, that for me as an artist was just so powerful, and I felt that it just kept on circling back to that scene with the refugees, taking a ball of energy, something that's formless, but we're all connected. And the act of a ménage à trois, intimacy, or the part where it was a preparation for, I take notes, but now I'm not remembering them, but the scene before the great tragedy where, you know, they had sex to prepare them for a rite of passage, the next day a new life. And then it all unraveled to life, tragedy, consequence, relationships with Father, things that are greater than us, that we all fear, but are embedded into us, and rebirth and life at the end. If that makes sense as an artist. I just wanted an open place to discuss that and how you employed it in the film. Sorry, I'm an art director. I'm only really good at communication.
Thank you so much for these beautiful, beautiful words and us summarizing our film, because we cared about every image of framing a scene that was coming up. We really did want it to people to relate, and wanted them to feel what we were trying to say here, like, you know, that this is just a circle of life, and that we share this energy together, and to live it to the fullest. The Ball of Fears, it's actually one of the really important scenes to us, and playing with ability to kind of put it out there, understand that we are all having it. Just a little side note to tell you about that wall. All of those fears have actually are written, and they are actually real from ourselves that we wrote on the wall, our friends, people who worked on the film, people that we asked. And so we haven't made up any of those. It was everything that somebody told us. And we just wanted even that part to be really real versus just putting something on the board. And every time that comes, And every time my eye focuses on something else, I kind of wonder, you know, who is it that dealt with that, and thinking that when the lights go off, it will just disappear. It's invisible ink. Thank you for all these beautiful words. You really touched me.
That connectivity really circles back. I've worked on a few experimental films that bringing like an entire cast, crew, and team together, but in a way that it's anonymous, invisible forces coming together. It's just so beautiful, and the way it resonates with the audience. Thank you for being so vulnerable, daring so greatly with this film.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's bring over Ken. And we're down to the last two questions. So after Ken, we'll bring on Jose, and that'll be everyone. Ken, I see you in the panelist side. Are you with us?
Right, Alex, I thought I was going to have you ask the question.
Sorry, did I mess that up? Oh yeah, you did ask me to read. Sorry. Well, now that you're on, you don't have to turn on your camera. Oh, or maybe not. Okay. So wanted to ask if the comedic masks of comedy and tragedy made the scenes shot in Italy feel so much more emotional. I cried at the actor class. Was Italy and Puglia helping with the acting?
Can you read it again?
Okay, I loved all the movie, but wanted to ask of Svetlana if the comedic masks of comedy and tragedy made the scenes shot in Italy feel so much more emotional. I cried at the actor class. Was Italy and Puglia helping with the acting?
So I'm gonna have that part for the actors on the end, but yes, but we really also wanted to play with the personalities that these three have, and I think that was one of the things that I was pulling from them, because they just all have such an individuality and a very specific personality. So that's what life is about. That's what realism is. As I said in the beginning, I just wanted to have a film that's as most honest portrayal of life, and comedic parts, and tragedy, and sex and love and relationship and family and everything is part of our daily life. But yeah, the other questions for the actors, did working in Italy had any impact on you in one way or the other versus US? Go, Cristina.
Yeah. For me, Italy was just was amazing. Was a little scary because it was the beginning. So honestly, I was not sure I could give everything, like that was needed, all the energy, all the emotions. But then we were filming in such amazing places, and again, Svetlana was so just great with the camera, being there, almost invisible, but always, having us in the middle of the process of the creative process. And after the first few scenes, I just felt the energy going, and yeah, and Italy made the rest. Those beautiful scenarios, those beautiful landscape made the rest.
Well, unless Neyssan, if you want to go.
I'll go.
Or
I think you'll close more beautifully than I will, since it's your hometown. I think for me, what was special is that Italy is just like such a passionate country. It's just like, it feels like another character, and it just kind of, it affects you, like the food, like smell, the people. And there was like all those things, when you're, for like David, who was producing, like suddenly like communication, the Wi-Fi problems and stuff, and not being able to get a hold of this. that you just kind of have to go along and be flexible. But it was definitely very, it was a beautiful town. It felt very special, and it was a lot of fun for sure. And, you know, like a dream, you know, to shoot in such beautiful location.
So for me, I was born in Noci, even though my family from my dad's side is from Putignano. And oh my God, it was a dream come true. I've always wanted to find a way to work close to home. That Putignano especially is it's everything. It's part of my soul. And but like Mattia, Neyssan, Svetlana, we have poured our souls into this film, and hearts, souls, hearts, everything into this film. So energetically being able to have all these people I adore and love there, and have them meet my grandmother who came on set. I know this is gonna sound a little cheesy, but to share, I mean, talk about love and energy, you know. It was, I don't know that I'm ever gonna be able to experience something like that again. My love for filmmaking, and my filmmaking family, and my actual family sort of like meeting in this place was just one of the most magical experiences for me, and definitely fed my, like, it gave me a lot to, it definitely, I get emotional talking about, but it definitely, yes, it did impact me greatly.
Well said.
Well, the person who was going to ask the last question couldn't stay, so this has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you all so much for giving us your evenings and sharing this beautiful film with us. And I really hope that everyone that watched tonight will do their part and make sure that everyone knows that it's opening on February 12th. And
Valentine's Day weekend.
Valentine's Day weekend. Go to showmewhatyougot.film or levelforward.live or lomley.com.
And actually, we're gonna be opening in other theaters too. So if you guys keep with our website, you will see more information on the film.
And I hope we'll hear from Kevin's girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yes, please write us on
Social media.
website. Yeah, or social media. Send us notes.
Yeah,
tell us, give us your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all so much again, and best wishes for the release.
Grazie,
Thank you,
Alex.
Alex.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks everyone.
See you all.
Bye. Good night.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.
Ciao.